all sorry, Cassie. We're all sorry, Cassie.
Trust me, Carrie. You can trust me. Trust me, Carrie. You can trust me. Trust me, Carrie. You can trust me.
Welcome to What Makes It Scary, a seasonal podcast unleashing the fear behind your favorite and not so favorite horror movies. I'm your host, Jody Vincent of Clever Girl Effects Studios, and with me, Alex Vincent of Mr. Ed Productions.
I'm finally a mister. It finally happened.
I know.
Wow.
I was so scared that I would forget and say my maiden name.
You have done that before recently.
Oh, yes.
We took a trip and you booked your plane ticket under your
My
maiden name, and I was pissed.
No, I was pissed because I thought I wasn't going to get on the plane.
All right. Well, it feels like a lot has changed. Now that we're married, it almost feels like a new dimension.
We got married?
Sorry, were we not supposed to reveal that? Was that a secret?
No.
Yeah, we got
We
married.
actually did it, people.
We got hitched.
Actually got married.
We tied the knot, literally.
Yeah.
Roll the clip. By the way, it's now the new dimension of visuals have been added to the show.
Yeah, season 4, we've added YouTube visual.
Mm-hmm. We've always been on
Hi,
YouTube, but
YouTube.
now we are visually on YouTube. So you can see us as well as listen to us. Now it's still an audio podcast.
Right.
You still listen to the show. And I hope that you do. If you just watch the video and you don't listen,
That'd be weird.
it'd be weird.
That'd be really weird.
Explain yourselves.
Okay.
Those of you who do that.
So yeah, season 4, What Makes It Scary? We're back for another round of punishment.
That's right. We haven't had enough. You know what I'm looking forward to? And by looking forward to, I mean not looking forward to.
Yeah.
Is our worst horror movies episode.
Already? You're already dreading it.
I dread it every year.
Yeah. This year, a little different. Yeah.
We thought, you know what? Watching horror movies, it's been done.
Right.
We've done this before.
Right. We've done the classics. We've done the favorites.
Yep.
We've done all that type of stuff. So this year,
We decided
we had a theme.
we're gonna narrow in a little bit.
And the theme is Stephen King.
Oh boy, my boy Stevie.
Yes.
Stevie to his friends call him Stevie.
All videos.
Sure.
All movies that we will be covering this season on What Makes It Scary is from Stephen King.
The mind of a legend, Stephen Old King.
Stephen Old.
He hails from Maine.
Yes.
And something interesting about Maine.
Yeah, we just went there.
That's right. We took a trip.
That's the trip that I booked my maiden name
That's
under.
right. Well, yeah. And boy, what a trip it was. We'll talk about it in a future, maybe not this series, but listen to Peeves and Q's, our other podcast.
Check that out.
We'll get into it. But yeah, we went to Maine. We took a Stephen King tour. We learned a lot.
It was basically the reason we went to Maine.
Yeah.
Because we knew we were doing the season.
Mm-hmm.
We knew we wanted to do all Stephen King. And so we're like, let's go. Let's get in the headspace right beforehand. Like we did this 2 weeks ago.
That's right.
And like, we've always wanted to go.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like now or never.
Yep.
So we
That was
did.
perfect time. And yeah, we went out there. We had a blast. That was hard to say, but we did.
Yeah.
Had a great time. And yep, we took this tour. We learned a lot. And some of that stuff is going to come up in this show.
We will mention it a bunch, I'm sure, but the tour that we took is SK Tours. You can find
Highly
them on
recommend. Yep.
Facebook. They're amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Our tour guide was Jamie that day.
Mm-hmm.
Just knowledgeable
Oh, yeah.
guy.
We learned so much.
Yeah, really awesome that
was
he
great.
took us on that tour.
It was great.
So yeah, I'm so excited.
I am as well.
For this
Stephen
season.
King. Talk to me about Stephen King.
I will talk to you about Stephen King. My first ever
Crush?
No. My first ever independent leap into literature was Stephen King.
It's funny you say that. Me as well.
Was it really?
Yeah. Honestly, yeah.
Before Harry Potter?
I don't know. Maybe. Yeah. No. Probably not before
I was
Harry
gonna
Potter.
say probably not.
But yeah, Stephen King was for me. It was an evolution in terms of going from kids horror like Goosebumps to adult.
And Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah, to adult horror.
Yeah.
For me, the same for you.
Yeah, I guess so, because I guess I did read R.L. Stein's I can't think of the name of their
The Chillers, but Fear Street.
No, Fear Street. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
looking at them right now on my bookshelf. read those. I've talked about it before, that just like this like antithesis of like me being scared but being attracted to it at the same time.
Allured by the thing that scares you.
Yes, I've always had that. And then like I literally, my friend, like sophomore year of high school, was reading it, and I looked at the cover and I was like, I need to borrow that book when you're done.
Yeah. I have
and that book is still on my shelf. I never gave it back to her.
You can see the years.
It's all taped up and everything like that. I should,
really held together.
when we do, if we do that episode,
right?
I'll bring that book out.
But yeah, same for me. It was an evolution, like I said, and it was really the first. So my first obsession with writing as like an industry, as an art form, because you read books when you're a kid, but you don't really appreciate them in the same way.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. My mom and I read Harry Potter. That was like really my first jump into literature.
Yeah,
and yeah, it's just not
right. It's not the same. And there was a long time that I would have said that Christine. The book, Stephen King's Christine, was my favorite book, like of all time, if you were to ask me that.
That's crazy to
me. It is. I am rereading it now. You've already read it for this.
Yeah, I have.
I would not say that it's my favorite book anymore.
It was better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's a good book, for sure, but I don't know where that particular sentiment came from exactly. But, yep, I was obsessed. This was when I was I've talked a lot about when I was a teen, getting into horror like extensively, and King was the king of that kind of excursion in terms of the literature world.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we're not necessarily talking about books because, we are a horror movie podcast.
Right. What makes it scary, not what makes it book.
That's right.
A lot of people think the name of our show is What Makes It Book. I don't know why.
I don't know, because I don't read really anything else besides this.
You're not much of a reader, but
no.
You read a lot of emotions.
Yes, I do.
The screen, the silver
I watch
screen.
a lot of movies. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
I do. But so this season, a little different. We are going to talk about the book as it relates to the movie Good, Bad, or Ugly.
Right.
So I am going to, we're going to say it a million times, so I'll get it out of the way. In the book, it did it this way.
In the book.
And sometimes that will be good and sometimes it will not. So
I'm gonna take a tally of the times that it's good and the times that it's not.
All right.
And then I'll score you at the end of the season.
Okay.
We'll see how each of the players
Dude, that sucks. That's a lot of work for you.
I rescind everything that I've just said. But just to be clear, this is not going to be a book podcast for this season.
No.
It's a movie podcast still. We're just going to be referencing the book because we read them and we're into them.
And I feel like if you're into Stephen King movies, you're into his writing.
Yeah, I don't know that anyone has been like, oh, I love Stephen King movies and hasn't read a word of Stephen King.
We were talking to my parents about the season and that we're doing Stephen King. And I remember my mom being like, I've never seen a Stephen King movie. And I was like, shocker.
I felt that hard to believe, but then you think about it and it, makes sense. They're not horror people.
I guess.
Yeah.
It was just, I was like, really? None of them? And she's like, no. And I'm like, well, why don't you come over and watch them?
We'll watch a few. Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they don't like horror movies. So that's.
She's like, Jaws is it for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've had enough.
Yeah.
That was also based on a book, not a Stephen King though. Makes you think.
But not about that.
Nope.
All right. So today's episode, we are taking a look at one specific character, if you will, from Stephen King. It is his very first.
His debut
as a full noveletta. What do you call it?
Novelist?
No.
Novel?
Novelette. Like a novella.
Oh, novella.
is the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
His first novella, Carrie.
That's right. We're talking about Carrie baby.
That's copyright. You can't do that because we certainly can't do it on
Leave
YouTube.
that out.
Yes, Carrie, Stephen King's first ever book.
Yes. He had written before, but, short stories and things like that. And this was his first foray. And, talk about an outing as an author. This is quite a novel to be your first novella.
Yeah. If you look at the bulk of his writing, this one is very, very different.
It is.
And it almost didn't happen.
That's right.
Because it ended up in the trash can.
In the tour that we took.
Well, in the book as well.
In the book.
It has a prologue.
In the book, Yeah, he talks about it.
Yeah, he talks about how he was writing for magazines and newspapers and that type of thing. And a lot of people who were starting to follow his writing, they were like, oh, well,
His
Stephen.
fans.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it that far.
His peasants. If he's a king, his fans would be his peasants.
No, they would not. You're going to make everybody mad.
Oh, sorry.
So the people that were reading his short stories basically were like, Stephen King is scared of women.
Yeah.
Because most of his stuff, male dominant, spooky, scary, twisty, all that type of stuff.
Scary.
That we are sometimes. But so he took this as kind of like this challenge, wrote like 2 chapters of it, didn't like it, threw it in the trash.
It was like, this is rubbish.
Yeah.
Goes in the rubbish bin.
His wife Tabitha comes along,
Tabby.
pulls it out of the trash, reads it, sets it back on Steve's desk, and is like, you need to finish this.
Finish this.
You started it, you finish it.
Right. Ain't no quitters in the king house.
Which I'm like, of course she did.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Right.
We have Carrie because of Tabitha King.
That's right. That's great. And she was instrumental in this, but co-instrumental.
I don't know if her last name is King. Don't quote me on that.
Okay. But yeah, she really provided a lot of insight into what it's like to be a teenage girl, which Stephen King never was.
Right.
So there was a lot that she put into this book as well. So it's not, it's a Stephen King book. It's not like it's co-written, but she really definitely had a big old hand in it.
Yeah,
so.
I'm sure she gave
for
advice
her.
and what it was like and that type of thing. He also went to, and we saw this on the tour, a almost, I wouldn't say a Christian high school.
It was a Catholic school.
Yeah,
it was
something like that. And,
religious.
And they let him in to go into the women's locker room to get in the shower, to the showers and be inspired.
After hours.
Yeah, not while the kids were there.
Right. It wasn't during active business days. I know what you're thinking.
Yeah. So that's cool to know that he went and saw those places and got the feel for it and stuff, which he does all the time.
Right. You have to kind of get a sense of the space so you can kind of inhabit it. It makes it feel more real.
Right. So as we get into the story of Carrie, which even if I were to ask my mother hey, what's the story of Carrie about, she could kind of tell me.
Right. It's a famous
even never
story.
seeing it, she could tell me what it is.
Yeah.
So we all know that it's about a girl and something terrible happens to her at prom. Basically, that's a low level.
Sums it up. Join us next week for
whatever else.
Yeah.
But the character Carrie is based off of 2 people that Stephen King knew in real life. He never gives their names.
Right.
But they were 2 just outcasts.
Yeah.
And it's he just goes into the synopsis of just, this one was religiously outcasted, and she always wore the same white blouse. Even though she was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, she always wore the exact same white. And what the kids would do was just ostracize her and stuff like that. And another one, same thing, just came from a poor family and just was odd. And both of them ended up dying at a very, very young age. One committed suicide, and the other, I believe, died in a car accident. No, she had a seizure, I believe.
It's very tragic.
Yeah. So to know that it's rooted in something real, of course, is what makes it scary.
Yeah.
So that's what I did the audiobook.
Yeah.
For this one.
You listened to the audiobook. You didn't record the audiobook.
No,
Let's be clear.
Oh gosh, don't ever think that. As you know, I can't read anything.
Yeah.
Without screwing it up.
You add some color to what you're reading for
That's
sure.
for sure. But I listened to the audiobook for all of these. I started with Carrie, read by Sissy Spacek, who in the movie, the original from 1976, plays Carrie. So she narrates it, but it does have a prologue recorded by Stephen King.
Cool.
Talking about these 2 girls that inspired Carrie.
Yeah, for sure. Very good stuff. The book came out in 1974, like we mentioned, his first book, and it was not a hit at first.
No, he had gotten an advance, and it didn't sell well. It was
Right.
30,000 books or something like that.
But that was just the paperback, and then when it went to hardcover, it kind of took off a little bit. to the point where they ended up making a movie about it.
2 years later.
Spin it up, yeah. Which is, you'd think it would take a little bit more time for his first book to be made into a movie, but no, they were like, hey, this is hot, so let's pick it up.
Yeah. I'm going to start with like my personal ties that I have to Carrie.
Please do.
Love Carrie.
Yeah.
Cosplayed as Carrie.
That's right.
At Flint Horror Con circa 2014.
Along with another idol.
Oh yeah,
King
that we
world.
saw there. I didn't
Yeah.
cosplay as her,
Right,
but
that'd be
the
cool,
car
though.
Christine was also there.
Yeah.
And I will be putting that photo up here on YouTube, and then you can also check it out on Twitter.
That's right.
So that's I mean, of course, it's so iconic.
Yeah.
Carrie's look, the drenched in blood,
Oh yeah.
prom
It's
queen.
Iconic is the perfect word.
Yeah.
It really is. And if you're a teenage Mr. Red, back in the whenever I was a teenager, no one knows, I'm ageless. But getting into horror movies, of course, a classic horror movie is Carrie. So I watched this at a young age and didn't have the appreciation for it. That
Yeah, would you have
later.
would you have called it horror at that age?
Probably. I mean, the ending scene anyway. It's a slow burn.
It's a
for
very
sure.
slow burn.
But
yeah.
So we want to talk about it, maybe?
No, not
Okay,
yet.
Great. Well,
I also just want to throw out that we went to the Mount Hope Cemetery in Bangor, and there is a huge headstone that Stephen King would walk by because he used to walk around the town everywhere to get inspired. And there's a huge headstone that we'll post a picture of right here that says Carrie. That is presumably how he got the name Carrie.
that's right.
For
Or
the
he
book.
came up with it.
Now we can start talking about it.
Cool, let's go. So, this movie came out in 1976, 1 year before our first Star Wars.
Yes, which will play an important role if you think about it. I will get to it later.
Okay.
Yes, we're going to be talking about two of the movies Carrie today.
Yeah.
I'll just throw that right out there.
Yeah.
There are other Carrie movies, short stories.
There have been other adaptations.
Yeah.
There was a musical, I believe, which is very strange.
Is there?
Yeah, you think that's yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes, we are only talking about Carrie 1976 and Carrie 2013.
Yep.
That's all we'll be talking about.
That's right.
Don't at me.
Don't at me.
So we are starting way back in 1976.
Yep. So this is a good movie. It's directed by Brian De Palma, who has made a few movies. He's
Like what? What else has he made?
Let me find out for you. So he made Dress to Kill. He made Scarface. He made The Untouchables. He's made a few movies. Mission Impossible.
Ew.
Carlito's Way. Things like that. So, I mean, a lot of this was
So
after
no
Carrie,
no Jodie movies.
No, not a
no
lot
movies that Jodie's ever
not a lot of
seen.
Jodie movies, but he directs the hell out of this movie.
Yeah.
There's a lot of De Palma-isms that are a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, apparently all of his movies have like very, very sexual undertones.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm surprised he didn't do Bram Stoker's Dracula. That was whatever his name was.
Yeah. Francis Ford Coppola.
Yes, Francis Ford Coppola. It was there on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah. All right. Well, yep. And this movie is good. You want to get into it?
Yeah, let's talk about our key players here. We have Carrie, like
Yep.
I said before, played by Sissy Spacek. This was
right.
not her first role. I was very surprised. She had only done a couple of things before then, but this is, of course,
It's an
what
early
she's
role, yeah.
most known for.
For sure, yeah.
I would say. We have her mother, Margaret White, played by Piper Laurie.
Twin Peaks watch.
Here we go.
We're not going to do this the whole season, but
Sure we
Piper
are.
Laurie. Okay, sure, we are. Piper Laurie, of course, everyone knows, plays Catherine Martell from Twin Peaks, who I did not remember until I was watching this movie again. I was like, she looks very familiar. She's Catherine Martell, of course. Piper Laurie, of course, that would be several years later.
Oh, are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Back to our cast of characters. I don't know who plays the badass, and I don't really need to know
The
her.
badass.
Yeah. The head bitch in charge, Chris Hargensen.
Nancy Allen,
Good. And Sue Snell, her
Amy Irving.
kind of her sidekick, but turned nice.
Right. She's kind of one of the mean girls at first, but then
Right.
she stops being a mean girl.
We also have this makes me mad. I'm already mad. I'm already going to be like in
Yeah.
the book.
Okay.
Okay, the gym teacher,
Mm-hmm.
of Carrie's is Miss
Desjardins, yeah.
No, I say Disjardin because that's
sure.
how you are supposed to say it, and that's how Sissy Spacek says it. So that's how I'm gonna say it.
Fine.
But she's not even that in this movie. She's Mrs. Collins.
Probably because nobody could
say
figure out how to pronounce
Disjardin.
Dangerdin. Yeah, she played Miss Collins, the gym teacher.
Yes, and we also have Tommy Ross, which is Sue Snell's boyfriend, played by
Yes.
William Catt, who also auditioned to be Luke
why.
Skywalker
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
and didn't get it,
Yeah.
apparently. But like now that you look back at it, you're like, they almost could be twins.
They have a very similar kind of
Mark Hamill and William Catt.
Yeah, I see it. This is a strange character because he's almost kind of a nothing. He has almost no personality. He's just nice.
Well, I do. This is gonna be really funny to say. I think he's a vessel, almost like a bucket, if you will. That every woman or person who likes males can put their deepest fantasies into.
Sure.
That's what I'm gonna say about that.
All
We'll
right.
get into that later.
Yep. We when we meet another version of this character, he has a lot more personality.
Yeah,
So.
very true. And then kind of rounding off our main cast is Billy, which is Chris Hargenson's boyfriend.
Played by
The one, the only John Travolta.
Johnny T, who can I say is actively bad in this movie? Like his
for
his
sure.
I
This
think,
is his breakout role.
Oh yeah, for sure. It might
Yeah.
even be his first. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not his breakout. It's like his very first role.
I
is
think
what I meant.
Boogie Nights is probably his breakout.
Yeah. Billy Nolan is the character. He's playing.
Right. He I think Johnny T can do a good performance.
Oh,
most
yeah.
notably The People versus O.J. Simpson.
Yes.
2016.
A complete chameleon. I've never really seen him go that far with
Right.
a role. But yeah, he's terrible in
He's
this.
actively awful in this, and it makes me laugh. But
the character's crap. So like
he's not much of a character either. So that's kind of our players here. And yep, they are high schoolers. We start with in just the worst hell imaginable. High school gym class.
Yeah.
The worst place to be.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Did you hate gym class?
Of course.
Like how much did you hate gym class?
A lot. A fair amount. I liked doing things, but I hated having to do things. Does that make sense?
Yes, because you hate being told what to do all the time. So
I
that
do.
makes perfect sense.
You said we need
me.
to start recording, and I was like, no. But then I did, and now I'm having fun. So, yep. And then they are all sweaty because they were all volleyballing and whatnot. And then they decide to go take a shower.
You're
An
right.
infamous shower.
Lots of nudity in these like very few first minutes of this movie. Like I was like, wow.
Right. Did we need this? It was very stark.
Yeah.
That's
your director there is
De Palma.
Yeah.
Probably. So they're all changing, getting showered, getting locker roomed or whatever.
get in locker room.
I don't know what happens in locker rooms. I've never been to one, but
I'll tell you what, in a normal like nowadays female gym class locker room, none of the shit that happens in this scene happens.
Right. People aren't just walking around.
Nobody. I've never ever even in college at the like public gym have seen multiple people walking around naked.
Right.
Maybe one, and for a very short period of time from they're walking from like one place to the other.
Sure.
And immediately covering up, but never like this opening scene.
Well, it was the 70s. It was about free love.
It was about free hair.
It was about free hair. Nobody shaved.
Ew.
Yeah, it's very weird to watch, but maybe not so much as weird as the music in this movie.
Oh yeah, very strange.
This movie is composed in a way that like if Matthew Lillard were a composer, he would make this movie.
That was kind of insulting to Matthew Lillard, I think.
It was good. It's good, but it's like
it makes you feel things.
1,000%. It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Like we first meet Carrie, she's showering, and she the music that's playing, it sounds like Bring Him Home from Les Mis.
Yeah, it kind of does.
And it's so over the top. It's very good though. And what happens, Jod?
Well, from there, everyone else has finished showering, so Carrie feels safe enough to go and shower.
She's alone.
And she's completely naked, which is just kind of strange to think about when you read the book. But then she gets her first period.
Which is a little, she's a little old, but it
Yes.
happens. It happens.
Yes. And Sissy Spacek's physique makes more sense to me to have this happen. And the way that Carrie is described in the book, where she is like pudgier, covered in acne, like that type of thing. You cannot, your body would not produce the hormones to make acne without also making the hormones to start ovulation.
Right. It's like if you're going through puberty, then
you're going through puberty.
Right.
You don't get to pick and choose.
That's right.
So it makes complete sense because Sissy Spacek is so thin. I wouldn't say she's underweight at all, but like just very, very slender. And so it just makes more sense that she would be delayed in puberty.
For sure.
So that happens. And from what I can remember, my first ovulation going through, it doesn't happen like this.
Right.
It like she literally is like washing with a bar of soap and her hands are just like covered in blood.
Right. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. And if I saw that amount of blood for the first time, I think I would start panicking.
Sure, especially if you don't know what's happening.
Yeah, if you had no idea what's happening.
Which she, in Carrie's case, she did not.
Like no idea. I can't. I try to put myself in that headspace and I can't. And I think I've heard some like horror stories in the past couple of years of a couple of women that I know having miscarriages and like how much you bleed during those.
Yeah. And
that's the only thing I can like draw inspiration from to get in that headspace of how scared she must have been.
Right. Yeah.
So it's jarring. She starts screaming.
As she's panicking.
She's running to the other girls, help, I think I'm dying. And they're all, of course, just like disgust, like, oh, you just have your period, disgusting, don't touch me, blah, blah,
Why are you
blah,
freaking
blah.
out about this?
Yeah.
They're like, you're
they
weird.
just don't understand.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because like those girls are like 29
right.
in real life. But
yeah.
So they're taking all these pads and tampons and stuff and they're throwing it at her and they're chanting, plug it up, plug it up, plug it up. And Miss Collins comes through and she's like, what's going on?
What is the meaning of this?
Right. Comes in and like tells everybody to leave. Carrie is hysterics on the shower floor thinking she's dying.
Yeah.
And just like slaps her.
Yeah. She slaps a student, which in this case I think is okay because she's kind of freaking out a little.
I mean,
you got to slap some sense into some people. So she's a good teacher. She doesn't abuse her students. Anyway, let's move on.
So Miss Collins finally understands that, like, oh, she has no idea what's happening to her.
Right, yeah. We missed a character who we did not talk about, Norma.
Oh God, Norma.
Played by PJ Souls, who was in who was in the original Halloween. She dresses like a 6-year-old in this movie.
You're right.
The whole movie, she's dressed as a toddler.
It's because she has her hair in these braids, and then she wears this red baseball hat
with like a rainbow on it and clouds, like she's in kindergarten. And even when she's her clothes, she's wearing like overalls which are bright red. She looks like she's a baby. I don't understand this character. It makes me laugh, but I don't understand.
I almost think they just put that hat on her so we remembered like who she was.
Yeah, because everyone kind of looks the same. And back in the 70s, it was all not HD, so they couldn't see anything.
Dude, it seriously is super fuzzy, the entire movie.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So Carrie's then sent home. And on her way home, is, walking, trying to gather her thoughts and stuff. And there's this little punk kid that's riding on his bike and screams out, creepy Carrie, which is apparently like kind of what everybody calls her or whatever.
Yeah, it's her nickname.
And she like looks at him just right and he falls off his bike.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh,
that's scary.
That's
interesting. Oh yeah, she broke. There was a light that broke in the shower when she was freaking out.
Yeah, but like, who remembers that?
Not me, certainly. Yep. And then she goes home and she's like, she talks to her mom. We meet her mom. She's a evangelical Christian lady. She's kind of a weirdo.
We all know someone like this.
Someone like this, maybe not to this extent.
I would never call them Margaret White, but
yeah.
We all know somebody that resembles this type of person that above all will find anything wrong with you.
Very critical, yep, hypercritical, and especially one of those women that's also a misogynist, which is it's just a fun flavor.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so she blames Carrie for her sins and thinks that
what you've become a woman, I hear, and it's she's blaming Carrie for something that biologically just happens. You're never gonna stop it,
right?
Hopefully you don't stop it, because if you do, then that's something is wrong,
right?
But yeah, she's like, you have sinned. You are Eve. Eve is weak.
Mm-hmm.
Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Puts Carrie in the praying closet and locks her in there. So that's the type of relationship they have.
It's fun. Meanwhile, back at school, Miss Collins is reprimanding all the other girls. She does a Tina Fey scene from Mean Girls.
Yeah.
Because they're literally in a cafeteria, and she's just like, listen, you can't be such mean bitches to everybody.
Who here has been personally victimized by Chris Hargensen?
Hargensen, yeah. Yep, and then she's
like, I told them that we should do is suspend you for 3 days and take your prom tickets away.
Right.
But, the band's already been bought, and the tickets have already been placed or whatever. So I can't do that. Detention every day with me running and doing crazy drills
LOL.
to tire you out. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's fun. We also get a scene where we just kind of introduce John Travolta's character and Chris and their relationship. He's abusive to her. He slaps her in the face, which I don't like that personally.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
Yeah, and he's just a weirdo of a character.
Yeah,
he's just a weirdo.
Yeah, it is really disappointing, John Travolta's performance in this, because in the book, Billy is just so redneck, so rough, so uncaring about anyone but himself.
Right.
And it just adds so much weight to this character that in this movie just doesn't matter. But back to gym class.
Yes.
First of all, I don't know what happened between the 70s and now that the school is now up every woman's asshole about what they're wearing.
Right.
Because if you look back at this 70s gym class, what the fuck are they wearing?
They're wearing gym clothes.
Chris Hargensen literally walks away and I can see her ass cheeks. Because her shorts are pulled so far up her cunt. It's and I'm just like, and it's not just her, it's like everybody. And there's tons of other outfits that are in this movie that I'm just like, what on earth? Like, who was it? The 80s? Like, oh, we got to get all conservative, and that's what started telling people that how they have to.
Reagan did a number.
Have to dress and stuff like that.
Did a number on this country. Listen, let me tell you about Reagan.
No, we don't have time.
Well, this is a movie, by the way, so maybe a lot of it is kind of played up for the...
You think so?
Well, it's a De Palma joint.
I've seen my pictures of my dad from the 70s, and his shorts were just as short.
You can see his ass cheeks, too. Hanging out as he's walking away.
I probably could, but I literally have pictures of him with the shortest of shorts.
Okay, great. Well... yeah, this is great. So they ended up doing, they kind of jumping around here a little bit. They end up doing a detention, and Chris is not happy about it. She's like, why do I have to do this?
Yeah, we didn't do anything. We were helping her through her first period and blah, blah. Just, again, someone we can all relate to, just that asshole in class who is just the worst.
And you're just like, shut up. Just like Sue Snell. It's just like, shut up,
Chris.
Which is great. Miss Collins does slap her, and while I do think Chris deserves it, this is not good.
Yeah, this one's like not
Don't do this,
deserved.
Miss Collins. Yeah.
Or it's not, it's just not, yeah, this one you could get in trouble for.
Right.
She doesn't, it's the 70s.
Yeah, nobody really cares. Yep. So she ends up getting herself suspended from the school, and so she can't do prom
because she
anymore.
doesn't finish the detentions.
Right.
And so
She
that makes her
can't
even more mad
shut
at
up.
Carrie, which then, she has that scene in the car with John Travolta
Mhm.
and basically kind of asks him to help her do something bad to Carrie.
Yeah.
What? We don't know.
Right. She's like, I need you to help me because I hate Carrie White.
Meanwhile, Sue Snell
Yeah.
is dating Tommy Ross.
With the greatest head of hair this side of Jon
It's
Snow.
very Shirley Temple.
It is. It's very curly. It's very blonde. Do you think he curls it like with curlers? Do you think he does?
I
think
don't
he does.
think he does.
Okay.
He might perm it because maybe, but like I almost just think that's what his hair was.
I saw a deleted scene where he was curling his hair. So
Prove it.
okay. Anyway, there's a scene where he reads a poem that he didn't even write,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah. They're in the literature class. It's like Sue, Tommy, and Carrie are all in this class, and the teacher is reading Tommy's submission, and Carrie kind of just like almost absentmindedly is like, "Man, that's a beautiful poem."
yeah,
And the teacher reprimands her for it.
right. It's like nobody compliments another student in the 70s. What's
And-
wrong with you, creepy Carrie?
And Tommy says like either like what a shit or you're full of shit or something like this.
yeah, something like that.
And the teacher's like, "What did you say?" And he's like, "I said, aw shucks."
Mm-hmm.
And then like that's kind of a chivalrous like
Right. He's like a nice guy, but
Yeah.
not like a nice guy. He's like just a nice dude.
Mhm.
He's
In this scene we can talk about like the cinematography of it.
oh please.
Go ahead.
Yeah, oh, yeah. So De Palma does this a lot in this movie where it's a split focus shot. It's called like a split diopter shot or whatever, where you see something in the foreground and in the background. And nowadays you can just do this. Like cameras nowadays basically don't, I mean, they do, but you can get away with having focus on basically the entire range of the screen, of the visual field. But back then you had to like make that happen. And if you wanted to shoot something far away, you'd have to use one lens. If you wanted to shoot something close up, you have to use another lens. And De Palma's like, no, not good enough for me. I want it both, and I want it now. So he crammed these two lenses together into one, and he made this this split focus shot where you could see something in the foreground and in the background, and it's very stark and noticeable nowadays.
Yes.
It almost looks bad.
Because there's just a blur in the middle.
Right. It's just like very fuzzy right here, and it just looks so
Yeah, it's very strange.
dissonant, but interesting look for sure. And it happens quite a few times in this movie, which is fun.
Yeah, so it's just like a part of that, cinematography, breaking barriers, creating new things,
Yeah.
that type of stuff. So it's
experimenting,
definitely worth mentioning in the podcast.
For sure.
So Sue is kind of catches, this chivalrous act and
Right.
is like, talks.
But she's not jealous. No.
No. Sue's a very interesting character.
She is, yeah.
Because she then asks Tommy, like, I want you to ask Carrie White to prom.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, well, no, you're my girlfriend. I want to take you. And she's like, nope.
But I want to go with you.
But she's like, nope, I want you to do this.
Yeah,
And
it's a nice thing. Make her feel
it is.
included.
She's also repenting
Yeah,
the word
she
I wanna use?
apologizing, kind of. It's like
Yeah.
making amends for
for the,
'cause she feels bad.
things that happened to Carrie
Yeah.
and that she probably caused. So it is growth for Sue's character,
Mhm.
but I do always feel those undertones of like, I just want to do it so I can be seen as
Sure.
good. But I don't think it's as snarky as like
Right.
what Chris always accuses her of.
Yeah, she's doing a good thing, and maybe she has kind of selfish motivations for doing it, but she also, I think, does like want to help Carrie.
Yeah.
So it's good, yeah. And Miss Collins catches wind of this because
Because Tommy does. He goes and asks Carrie, and Carrie's like, no.
right. That's I don't like this. I know how these girls treat you, Carrie. I don't like what's happening here. I guess the old fish smeller is kind of going off right about now.
Yeah.
The old fish smeller, something smells fishy.
That sounds not great.
Well, it is
In a
It's
story about women.
Okay.
That's exactly where my mind went.
Amazing,
And I know everybody
amazing.
else's did too.
Yeah, so she's like, I don't know what this is. I'm concerned about it. And they're kind of just like, listen, this is between us, which it is, but also she's right to be concerned.
Right. She's just trying to
protect Carrie. Yeah. But they're basically just kind of not blow her off exactly, but they're like, hey, listen, we're not doing anything bad. We're on the up and up. So just let us take Carrie out. Maybe we're one of those couples that there's 3 people.
Stop. Just stop.
Maybe.
Just stop. That's not what's happening in this story.
You don't know.
So eventually,
Mm-hmm.
Carrie says, yes, I will go to prom with you.
Right.
Tommy.
For sure.
And meanwhile, we have Chris and Billy going to the pig farm.
Uh-oh, what are they doing? In the fakest rain I've ever seen. The rain in
it's
this scene is
terrible.
so fake looking.
It's literally like I took a sprinkler and was like holding it in front of the camera.
Not even a watering can.
No.
Just like splashing it in front of the lens.
Like taking a pop can and that's full of water and just like
okay, refill it. You only have
really
one.
Fast.
Yeah, it's like that. And they go out to this pig farm, and his friend is the most annoying character in the world. He's just talking a mile a minute, and he's just like, listen, we got to get these pigs. He's almost Bill Paxton-esque.
Oh, yeah.
Which is funny, because Bill Paxton worked on this movie.
Yeah, he was
like
almost assistant something.
Yeah, assistant set design or something.
Yeah.
Interesting little fact. Yep, and so what do they do with these pigs, Jode? This isn't good.
Well, in the book, they just they do bash 2 pigs on the head and slit their necks and drain their blood. But in the movie, John Travolta just like
yeah, goes ham on it.
Get it? Goes ham.
Yeah.
You didn't even know.
I did.
Everyone on YouTube can tell you did not know.
I totally made to do such a thing. It was intentional. Let's move on.
So yes, so they do get this bucket of pig's blood, and they have this plan that they're gonna, they heard that Tommy and Carrie are going to prom, so they're gonna rig it so that they win king and queen
right.
of prom and have to go up on the stage, and right then they're gonna dump this bucket of pig's blood on her, pig's blood for a pig.
Right. Which is a hilarious joke.
Because everybody's going to get that.
Yeah, it's going to be so
And you're never going to
funny.
get in trouble for it.
Right, not at all.
One thing the book does super well is adds weight to like this prank that they're pulling.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is illegal.
Yeah.
In many, many different ways.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But like Billy, they're setting up the rig and whatever. And Billy says to Chris, like, when the school song starts playing, pull that rope. And when you do, I'm running to the car.
Right.
And if you don't make it, I'm leaving without you.
Yeah, right.
And I won't look back.
What does he even need to be there for anymore? She's got to pull a rope. Just leave. She can pull a rope.
Well, he's the one that drives.
I guess that's
drive her
true, yeah.
away.
Women can't drive in the 70s.
No, they can't.
Yeah, so they have this whole plan. Meanwhile, we see everybody else just kind of living their lives. Carrie tells her mom that she's going to go to prom.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Prom mom. And
Prom, Mom. Mom, I'm going to prom.
Mom, I'm going to prom. And Mama, she calls her Mama all the time. And,
yes, why is she Southern? I have that written down here.
Yeah, well, I guess, I don't know if they are from this area or if
Sissy
they're kind of...
Spacek is Southern.
Well, right, but, I mean, Piper Laurie has a pretty extreme accent as well. It's like, the Lord will smash you down. Come on now.
I guess, but like never is it said in the book or in this movie that they're from
the
anywhere
South.
but Maine.
Right. That's weird.
You ever been to Butt, Maine?
Oh, I have.
So it's just very distracting that everybody else has these like New England or Midwest accents, and then there's Sissy Spacek who's like, "Mama,
well, Mama." At one point, so in this scene, Mama tells Carrie that pimples are the Lord's way of chastising you. This is a life lesson for everybody. If you have acne, it's the Lord's work.
It's the Lord's work keeping you pure.
That's right. You should be thankful.
You know what? Honestly, sometimes people need that.
That's true. We've talked about this before, personally.
I have. That, like, you know what? It's okay to be ugly.
Right.
Go through that ugly stage in life because then you develop the personality.
Right. People who are just attractive forever.
Oh, they're nothing.
Yeah, they have no reason to. Okay. You have no reason to be funny, for example.
Exactly.
So
Alex and I went through very long stages of being ugly, apparently. But
yeah, because we're very funny.
But yes. So take it as such.
Right. She has, by the way, a mural, like a painting. It's almost a blanket of the Last Supper on her wall, which I find
It's a tapestry.
It's a tapestry. I find insulting because you know for a fact that Margaret is her name. Margaret White does not appreciate the handling of space, mastery of perspective, treatment of motion, and complex display of human emotion that's being exuded by this painting. She does not appreciate the artwork that goes into a Leonardo da Vinci work.
Yeah, but it's religious, so
That's true.
It's,
I forgot it was religious. Okay,
yeah.
I
So
understand
she
that.
does
Yeah.
get it. This is one thing that I take from like certain types of religious people. They'll it's just so wide of a like spans of just like what is acceptable and what is not. Like at one point, Margaret's like singing, and I'm just like, I feel like she would think that like singing is a sin.
Right.
Because it brings you happiness
Well,
or
there
whatever.
are definitely certain sects of religions that do believe things like that, where any kind of artistic expression, even if it is non-secular, is still an affront to God.
Right. And like later we find out that she wanted to live with her husband, Ralph, Carrie's father,
Ralph.
in a sexless marriage.
Right.
Wherein like the word of God is to procreate.
Yeah.
So like what's going on?
Explain yourself, Christians. I mean, don't.
No, don't. But like that's what I don't like. That's what makes me super utterly confused.
Yeah.
Is she just like a certain type of crazy, or is
Yeah.
there something I'm missing?
I don't know. She's a weirdo. This is also the scene where I love this. She splashes water on Carrie's face, and it puts out
The two candles
that are
that-
between them.
Yeah.
And I love that. That's just a good little moment. But she does not want her to go to prom. She's
No,
like, no.
she almost like forbids it.
Right,
Carrie
she's like,
kind of uses
boys
her
are evil, which she's right.
uses her powers, which we haven't even really talked about.
Yeah, by the
Kinda-
way, she's telekinetic. It's kind of incidental
yeah.
almost until the very end
Yeah,
of the
you're
movie.
right. But she like has these instances of like, yeah, I can do things with my mind, and
Right.
of course Margaret's like, you're the devil.
I can use the Force, Luke,
See,
but not
it's all Star Wars.
not
William Cat.
William Cat.
Tommy Ross.
But he's Billy. But he plays Tommy. But Tommy is Johnny. Oh boy. Billy is Tommy. Billy is Johnny. What's happening?
Who am I?
I'm Tommy.
No, I hope not.
Anyway, but she ends up making her own dress, which is cool.
Yeah.
We do get a montage of so it's the telephone hour from Bye Bye Birdie where everybody's talking about how they're going together. And we also see we see the scene where they are getting ready for prom by buying their tuxedos.
The day of.
Yeah, the day of.
For
which is wild.
$10.
Yeah, cheapo tuxedo. That's the name of the place they go to buy their
Is it
tuxedo.
really?
No, it
Oh.
should be. But there's a scene where it's like him and two of his friends who are not characters, but they show up.
Right.
And they're like, listen, we need to buy these tuxedos. And they're just having fun, goofing off. And then the movie decides to speed it up by like 500% for
So it sounds like
3 seconds.
chipmunks.
Yeah.
And
And then it stops. And this only happens once, and it's never explained, and it is baffling. It is baffling. But
It
that
made you
happened.
so mad.
Objective. I literally
yeah,
rewound
you're
it.
like, that didn't just
I was
happen.
like, did I see that? So they're all ready for prom.
Right. So Tommy picks her up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, of course, Margaret's like, don't go. They're going to laugh at you.
Yeah.
And Carrie's like, I'm nervous enough. Shut up.
Mm-hmm.
And they leave and they go. You know, it's kind of awkward because Carrie doesn't want to dance too much. But he kind of like, you know, he's very charming and like seems like he cares and does want her to have a
Yeah.
good time.
And he's like not making her do anything she doesn't want to do.
Yeah.
He's just being there for her, listening to her. But, you know, kind of pressing her to have fun and open up and everything.
Yeah.
It's cool. They do end up dancing.
Yes. Oh, this shot. Oh,
I was getting a little nauseous.
Yeah,
watching
it'll
this.
make you seasick.
Yeah, because it's spinning around and it lasts for a long time. It's really cool, but it's spinning around them and it's like getting faster and faster as they're spinning too. It's a really cool shot.
Yeah,
I
but
it
it's
a
like
lot. It's a lie.
Yeah, in the book, there is like this magnetism between these two.
Yeah.
Like you almost want them to fall in love.
Right.
It never comes to fruition in either of these movies.
Well, there's a reason for that.
Well, yeah, but like it never that spark between them never is apparent.
Right. We cut back to Carrie's mom very symbolically chopping some carrots.
So aggressively chopping carrots.
And then she does the thing I love when movies do this, where like the carrot flings away and she just keeps chopping
There's
the
like
empty
the
block.
tiniest little piece of green from a carrot, and she's just like
chop, chop, chop. I love it. I love when movies do this. It's so much fun.
So
yeah, so she's kind of breaking down, I think.
yeah, for sure. She's like, okay, this child is the devil.
Right.
We gonna take care of her.
I must kill.
Yeah.
Execute, kill mode.
So they get back to their seats at the prom.
Yep.
They see on the ballot that they are
In the running
for prom king
and not just
queen.
written in.
Because you couldn't go to prom unless you had a date.
Yeah. They're like, so because Sue can't go to prom. She's stuck at home.
She misses out on her senior prom because
Right.
she's like, Tommy was my date. And
if you don't have a date, you can't go to prom, which is no.
Right. I feel like she could have found a date.
Yeah, she could have found a date. There's millions of guys in this school.
Yeah.
There's that one asshole who's like, he's one of Billy's. He might be the annoying one, but
He's with Norma.
he's with Norma. I might be talking about somebody else, but he's the one who's like, oh no, he is. Because he volunteers to be the one to do the ballots.
Yeah.
And he asks the guy who's like in charge, hey, can I do the ballots? And the guy's like, sure. Well, you need to be here at 6:30 so we can set up. And he's like, oh, no, I can't do 6:30.
How's it 8 o'clock?
I'll be there. I'll see you at 8. Yeah.
Like
And he
when
just-
the dance starts.
right. And he just leaves. And it's so out of nowhere. This character is
He's like, I really want to do the ballots. Like, big sign, like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm going to rig it.
me, the guy who's friends with the town monster.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go ahead and do these ballots.
So they have this discussion
Yeah.
of like, oh, well, who will we vote for? And he's like, well, to hell with false modesty.
The devil with false modesty.
The devil with false modesty. Let's vote for ourselves.
Yeah. And she's like, the devil.
Yeah. So they do.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if they would have won.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so.
But it is rigged because we
There's-
go through this big one shot
This
of
is
like,
awesome. This is so good.
them voting.
Oh, it's so good.
Norma picking up the ballot, taking it to that one guy, hiding the real entries and
Like
stealing the false entries, giving it to him, going by the stage, seeing Chris and Billy under the stage because
Yep.
that's where they're hiding
They're
to pull the
watching.
rope,
Yep.
going up the rope, seeing Sue because she broke into the dance.
Yep. She did make her way in.
What makes her go in this movie?
I believe she just shows up. I don't really know if there's a specific reason for it.
Yeah, I don't remember there being like not even because she's like at home and then like she just kind of think is like, I'm gonna go check it out.
Yeah.
Which is a very Jody thing to do.
Right. I got a bad feeling about
like
this.
I get feelings about things all the time, and
Yeah.
sometimes I can't explain them, and then eventually I'm like, oh, that's why.
Yep.
Yeah.
You knew. So she and we see the shot continues and it goes up and you see the bucket of blood up on the ceiling and the rafters. And so this whole scene, Chris is holding this rope and she keeps like her hands are shaking, but she's still holding it, but she's not pulling it. Let go of the rope, girl.
Right, just don't touch it.
Grab it when you're ready because Sue notices it moving because she keeps jerking it.
Right.
Well, hold on. Let me rephrase that. Like shifting the rope around. And Miss Collins notices Sue there investigating the rope situation.
Right, because Sue's like, oh, what's going to happen?
Something weird's going on. Yeah, which is right.
So Miss Collins like drags Sue out and kicks her out of the building.
Which ends up being a good thing for her.
Right, because just at that moment...
Although maybe do you think she could have stopped any of this?
I don't know.
I think she could have said, hey, Carrie, look out, or something like that.
Or, ran up on stage
Right,
to
or
be
done
like,
something.
there's a bucket.
Right.
There's a bucket. Nice.
Thank you.
Sick reference.
Thank you. She does not do any of that. Instead,
No.
she goes, wait, and then gets kicked out.
Right.
So she's gone, and basically, so Carrie and Tommy win. They're up on stage, and they're like, they kiss.
They kiss. Oh yeah, they do kiss on
They
stage.
kiss twice.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Weird.
Yeah.
But then, of course, Chris pulls that rope.
Oh boy, here it goes.
Sends this bucket of blood
That's right.
onto Carrie.
Yep.
And like it just deafens.
Yep. Oh, this is so cool because the only sound is like the rope
and the bucket, like kind of
clattering.
swinging back and forth and dripping and that type of thing.
And you can see people like reacting. Even Tommy says, "What the hell?" But it's silent.
You can't
except
hear it.
for I love that.
And it's almost just like it's almost like you're in Carrie's head, just like
Kind of in shock.
shock is basically what it is. And
then she sees everybody like laughing, which is weird.
right, but it in the book it does a really good job of explaining like why.
Right.
Because you would just like start laughing because you're like,
What
exactly? What just happened?
Right.
That's what they say. Like even Miss Desjardins in the book,
Miss Collins, you mean?
no,
Okay.
like is laughing, and in her head she's like, I don't know why I'm laughing.
Right.
This is horrible, but
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm laughing. So it might even just be like the evils of the world have come out to,
Sure.
spite Carrie and whatever.
Yeah,
So,
maybe.
but there's like, I don't know, there again, more weight to it of just like everyone is in shock and that's why they're laughing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So they're laughing just like Mama said they would.
Yeah, you hear all these shots of like people making fun of her and things happening, and her mama saying,
Yeah,
like,
they're
all
gonna
gonna
laugh at you.
They're all gonna laugh at you.
Just then, the bucket comes free of its rope,
Yeah, falls down.
comes down, and hits Tommy in the head.
It's hard.
Not Billy. Not Johnny either.
No, Johnny, Billy, and Chris run out. They leave. But yeah, so Tommy dies,
by bucket to head.
which doesn't seem very fatal.
But is scary.
Yeah, it is.
It scares me. I'm like terrified that things will fall on my head.
And kill you.
Yeah, things
Okay.
that, you ever like have something in your car in like the back window and your parents ever tell you like, don't put stuff in the back window because if you
Yeah.
get in a car accident, it'll knock
They'll
you
go
out and
flying,
kill
yeah.
you.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, it's the same type of thing.
It is the same type of
That's
thing.
why you shouldn't walk under things that could fall.
That's right. That's right.
Damn it, Tommy.
Damn it, Tommy. Damn it, Tommy. Yeah, so he dies, and Carrie freaks out, and she goes on a killing spree.
Yes.
She like locks the doors.
Now, I'm not saying I wouldn't do the same
Okay.
because I probably would
Yeah.
if I had those powers.
Right.
But yeah, it comes, to a climax of just she closes all of the doors.
Yep.
Sue is like Chris,
And
Billy,
Billy.
God damn it, escape. They're the only ones that leave.
and Carrie. Eventually. Yeah.
And yeah, she locks all the doors.
Mhm.
She gets the hose out, starts spraying people down. They're slipping, they're falling, they're getting electrocuted.
Yeah, she's like knocking down cables.
Which
Sprinklers are going off.
yeah, which is really scary. And then, like, because someone's getting electrocuted, it sparks a fire.
Yep.
So now the entire school's on fire.
It's a high school prom, so everybody's soaked in alcohol. So there's a lot of
So it's
alcohol.
really flammable
Yeah, it's
in
really
there.
flammable, yeah.
But like,
Oh, don't they say
imagine that.
the punch is spiked, or is that in the other one?
I believe that's in the other
Okay,
one.
forget I mentioned it.
But like, we went to prom together.
Mm-hmm.
Spoilers.
We did. We're in love.
Yeah, post a picture here.
Yeah.
And imagine that. Imagine all of those kids dying
I would not want to do that. Imagine
because
that.
we would be two of them.
That doesn't matter. I just would still not like to imagine
But
that.
yeah, like
It's awful.
imagine that for your town.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild.
Yeah. It sucks for
So
sure.
all of those people die.
Mhm.
Even Miss Collins.
Yeah. Which I like.
I like that she dies.
I don't like it because she's a good character, but I like it because she's a good
it's-
character.
yeah,
and it makes
and-
it's more tragic that way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I like that Carrie does kill her in
Right.
this rendition.
And she doesn't deserve it.
No, not at all.
Not at all. She did slap Chris, but come on. Who wouldn't?
Who wouldn't?
Yeah.
So then Carrie walks out. She's perfectly fine. Pulls a Daenerys, nothing on her.
Yeah, she's fine.
And is walking home
Mm-hmm.
and gets home.
Well, first Billy and Chris.
Oh, I forget that
in the
this
car.
Is this, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's walking down the road to home. Go ahead.
And this car comes up. Billy's driving, and they try to run her down. She whips around. It's the Birds style, like shot into her eyes,
yes.
and it's very cool.
With Psycho.
Yeah, Psycho music.
This was the Alfred Hitchcock homage.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Moment.
Yep. The car flips and explodes. It's awesome.
It is, and it's very scary.
Yeah.
Well, because like Chris is driving, so women can drive.
Okay.
And is like I'm gonna run her down.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to kill her.
Right.
Which, yeah, it's. Bleh. I don't like that either.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So then she goes home
Yeah, she
after
goes
killing Billy and Chris.
She's like, Mom, I'm home. I had a kind of a bad prom.
Yeah, she like goes upstairs, takes a shower, which you had said like
It's very baptismal.
That's not what you said, but like
unnecessary.
Yeah, because it like that's such an iconic look of like Carrie drenched.
Oh,
in the
right.
blood.
I said I wish that she didn't clean herself off so that she,
Right,
she would
just-
look that cool
Right,
through her
but
whole
she
rest of the
does.
movie.
She like bathes, and then Margaret, and then like she consoles her. Oh, Mom, they laughed at me. Blah 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 blah. And this is when Margaret just
She's lost her
loses
mind.
all the marbles.
Yeah. She's like, yeah, that's nice, hon. I'm gonna stab you now.
Yeah, she goes into the full rant of like, I should have cut it out of me.
I should have killed myself when he put it in me.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And just like the 2 times that they had sex or
Right.
whatever.
Which you and I were fighting about the timeline of this.
I'm right.
I'm right. I think that they had sex once before they were married. She was born in sin, and that's why that's why she was like, no more sex for us. even when
No,
they're
they
married.
had sex one time before marriage, and then they said never again. They got down and got on their knees and prayed that it would never happen again until the night that Ralph came home covered in alcohol, whiskey specifically.
Yeah.
And they made love because she liked it, is what
exactly
she
call
says.
it
And
making
that's
love.
when she got pregnant.
Okay. Leave a comment down below with who you agree with. I vote me. Anyway, yep. So
You didn't even read the book.
I did a long time ago.
A long time ago.
Yep. And then she decides she's gonna kill Carrie now. She's gonna because she thinks she's
she's
straight
like
up a demon.
yeah.
You're a demon with demon powers, so I'm gonna kill you.
Which I really like the line. She's like, okay, Carrie, let's pray one last time.
Yeah.
I really liked that. And I'm like, ooh, Carrie didn't catch that, but she could have.
Right. Yeah.
Like, what do you mean one last time? He stabs her in the back.
Mm-hmm. A literal backstabber.
Yeah. And then, which like sends Carrie flying down the stairs.
Yeah.
Scary.
Carrie.
Scary Carrie.
Scary Carrie. Yep. And then they kind of have like a little fight, but it's mostly Carrie uses her powers to stab with knife Mom.
A bunch of knives,
knives,
a bunch of sharp objects, impales her with her telekinetic powers.
Right. We didn't really mention the prayer room. We mentioned it, but we didn't describe. It has a statue. It's not Jesus. It's like some other
Saint Sebastian.
Saint Sebastian, which I always find interesting that it's like not Jesus, with glowing eyes, very scary looking. But the pose is exactly the same. Now this is an invention for the movie. In the book, she just
it is Jesus. Yeah.
I meant how she dies.
Oh yeah, how she yeah.
She like stops her heart with her powers, which is cool and very scary. But
yeah, I like that more because like I can imagine more someone like, you know, reaching in, like the feeling of someone reaching into my chest and like stopping my heart from beating versus just being like stabbed and bleeding to death.
Yeah.
So it carries more weight with me, but visually it would not be
right.
great.
Not as climactic. And I love the symbolism of how she's stabbed in the exact same pose as the Saint Sebastian figure. I think that's really cool. You don't like it?
Yeah. No, because I like how she dies in the book. And I like in the book how Carrie does what she does at the school, goes through town.
She like kind of destroys the town.
Yeah, kills more people, goes home, showers, does that, kills her mom, then goes and kills Chris and Billy, and kind of dies on the street in almost like Sue's arms. So yeah, so then Carrie regrets everything she's ever done.
Mm-hmm.
And the rocks start falling from the sky.
Right, the house is destroyed.
Right, falling into the earth.
And Carrie dies.
Yeah.
That's sad. We see a shot. They have a scene of Chris's mother. Sue's mother. Yeah, talking on the phone about how like, oh yeah, she's recovering. She's young, so she won't. She will forget in time.
Yeah.
Which how old is she?
Like 17, 18.
Yeah.
You're gonna remember.
Yeah, this is gonna be a.
You're gonna remember that everybody in your high school died.
Right,
but
and
you.
your boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was pretty ridiculous, but
Sue's having this like reoccurring dream where she goes and she visits where Carrie's house was, and in the rubble there's a post that's a for sale sign of the lot,
right?
But in it somebody has written like Carrie White burns in hell,
yeah.
And so Sue's like laying some flowers down at it, and the very first sting ending ever in a horror movie,
yeah.
is a bloody hand that reaches
shoots up
and grabs Sue, and she wakes up screaming, and that's how it ends.
And it's a great ending.
Yeah.
And that's the movie. Man, what a ride, huh?
What a ride.
What a ride.
What a ride.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yep. So that was Carrie
1976.
76, but then there was like a sequel movie that was bad, and then there was
The Rage, Carrie.
The Rage, Carrie 2.
Yeah.
All right, whatever. But then they made this remake in 2013.
Which we went to.
This was one of the earliest movies that we saw together.
Yeah, I would say so. We went the same day that we went to the Flint Horror Con.
Yeah.
But that was in 2013. And then the next year, I cosplayed as Carrie.
Right.
So don't get it messed up, people.
Yeah, keep your timeline straight. This movie, 2013, it stars...
Chloe Grace Moretz.
Yep, as Carrie. Now, I have a problem with this already because I think...
yeah, go ahead.
Sissy Spacek, I don't think she's ugly, but I think she's weird looking.
Yeah, her nose is like a skeleton.
Yeah, she has a very interesting look. You can understand why she would be ostracized from her peers. Do you disagree?
I don't fully agree.
Okay.
But I don't disagree.
Okay, great.
I know what you're going to say, that Chloe is too conventionally good looking.
I was just going to say she's not weird enough looking.
Yeah.
She just doesn't look like she would be othered in the same way.
And I wonder if you would have thought that if our tour guide instructor...
I would.
Jamie wouldn't have said that she was also too pretty to play that part.
Yes, I would, because I've always thought this. This was not a new idea.
Yeah, and I just don't mind it.
Okay.
She's young enough.
Yeah, she's very young.
And I just find her face to be just enough odd that it works for me, because I went to school with... I can see her clearly, this girl that looked completely normal, average, blah, 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 but was just a freak.
Yeah.
And nobody liked her.
Yeah, and the other part of it is like her... I don't know about her acting, or maybe it's the writing or all of it, but like she's just not... She doesn't act weird enough the way that... Again, Sissy Spacek, it's her demeanor, it's her presence. She like acts like a weirdo, and so everybody treats her like one. Whereas Chloe is more just normal acting, and maybe that's just because it's a more modern movie.
I think it is, yeah.
But that's just, it all kind of ends up as a like, why are people so weird to her in a way that in the original it's not that you get it, but it's less of a question.
Right. Let's go on with our other actors that we have.
Who else do we got in this?
Miss Desjardins.
Played by?
Judy Greer.
Hell yeah, Judy Greer. I love
Judy Greer.
She's great. I did not really have an appreciation for her when we first saw this movie.
Right.
I kind of only knew her as Kitty from Arrested Development.
That's what we normally, when we see her, we say, Kitty.
It's Kitty. But no, she is an amazing actor. I love her in every movie she's in, including this one.
I agree. And she's been in a lot of them lately that I've really, really liked.
For sure.
We also have Margaret White, played by Julianne Moore.
Yes.
This was a great decision.
Oh, absolutely. She crushes. She might be my favorite casting in like both of these movies together. Julianne Moore as the mother. She
sells it.
Phenomenal.
And I believe her.
30 Rock watch. I got to bring this up because both, I'm starting a new segment, 30 Rock watch. Both Carrie Grace Moretz and Julianne Moore were in 30 Rock. Julianne Moore had like a actual character arc, and Chloe was more just like she was in 3
Oh, Chloe.
episodes.
I thought you meant Piper Laurie, and I was like,
Oh.
really? Why was she on 30 Rock?
She might have been. That show ran for a while. But yeah, both Carrie and her mom were in 30 Rock.
Carrie's mom has got it going on.
I have to like that joke because it's the kind of joke that I would make.
Absolutely. And then kind of rounding out our known actors, playing Tommy is Ansel Elgort.
Yeah, Ansel Elgort with the fakest American accent I've ever heard from a real American.
Yeah, I ask because I know what movies he's been in.
Yeah.
Have I seen them? No.
Sure.
And I feel bad because West Side Story looks really good, and I just haven't had time to watch it.
It's
but
fine.
And I asked you, I was like, is he American? Because he doesn't sound
he sounds
American.
like he's doing a fake American accent.
It is. I don't even know how to describe it.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it's like he's constantly has food in his mouth.
Right. It's like clear your throat before you talk. He's
Yeah,
just like, okay,
and
Carrie, do you want to
You're
go out
trying to keep it
me?
in by pursing your lips like out to like catch it.
Right, yeah.
But we laughed multiple times at his accent.
It's-
But I love him and this character in this movie.
Yeah, he does a really good job. I think all of the actors are great in this movie.
Oh yeah. The girl who
plays
plays Chris, I
I know her name.
What is it?
Her name is Portia Doubleday. Do you want to know how I know that? Because Doubleday is the name of the publishing company that first picked up Carrie.
Huh.
How about that, huh?
I really like her.
She's good.
She's a really good Chris.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
A very good,
She's
like,
very,
modern
very
Chris.
good.
I actually thought, like, the girl who played Chris in the original looked very modern. Like, the first Chris.
It's
She
her
had, like,
lips,
a...
yeah.
Yeah, she had a very modern look. But this one, even more so. She has a great, like, just mean girl vibe.
Yes,
Which I think...
absolutely.
I think she crushes. And we also have to talk about Gabriella Wilde, who plays Sue Snell, who is like 9 feet tall. I want to say
so tall. She's
like
5'10".
She's like a redwood of a tree.
She's an Amazon woman.
She is, yeah.
Anytime she walked across the screen, you were like, "How tall is she?"
I was like, "Whoa, whiplash!"
She
from
looks
looking
like
up.
6'3".
Yeah, she looks very tall.
She's 5'10". I
I think it's just everybody else is short.
do. Yeah, I do think that. This is a modern take on Carrie.
Yeah,
And I like it.
yeah. You like this movie a lot. I like it too. I have some.
A lot of
issues
people
with it.
hate on it.
Yeah.
I like it
Mhm.
a lot.
I'm frustrated by some things. I think one of the biggest issues is the people in charge, like the director and everybody who was working on it. What they said was, this is a quote from Wikipedia, that they didn't want to make a remake of the original. They wanted to do like a new adaptation of the book. But there's a lot of stuff in the movie that comes from the other movie and not the book.
So you don't think they read the book? Is
So
that
I
what
just
you're
don't.
saying?
I just think they said that, but didn't do that.
Maybe. I think this one follows the book more closely.
It has a few things.
The other movie starts out that way, and I even said it. I was like, "Oh wow, this is very faithful
yeah.
to the book." And then all of a sudden, it just changed and wasn't
Right.
anymore.
Mhm.
This one, I think, follows more closely with it.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm actually scared of Margaret in this movie, unlike Piper Laurie,
Yeah.
who I laughed at the entire time.
So yeah, because the Margaret from the first movie, she's very much just she has this evangelical thing. She's very religious and she's abusive, and that sucks.
Yeah.
In this movie, it's almost played like she has like mental illness, and that's making her like just kind of take a lot of issues that she has out on Carrie.
She uses like self-mutilation as like
Self-harm,
a tool.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Which is very much a bummer, but it makes her more of a realistic character, less like over the top kind of thing, and
Less theatrical and more believable.
right, more believable and yeah, scarier because of that. What makes it scary? There you go.
That's it.
What makes
Julianne
it
Moore.
Carrie?
Like I said, this is a very modern interpretation. One aspect of it being in the shower scene, and we're not going to go through scene by scene because it's almost basically the same.
A lot
movie.
of it's very similar.
As the girls are screaming, plug it up, plug it up, plug it up. Chris takes out her cell phone and is like videotaping
right.
Carrie.
Yep. And this becomes a plot point of her videotape.
Right. And then posts it later on social media, whatever
on
that may be.
YouTube or whatever.
And that's what really gets all the girls like in trouble.
Right. Yep. The movie does start though differently. It starts with Carrie being born.
Yes.
And it kind of, I like this. This is cool because it compares, it parallels like Carrie's first period. She doesn't know what's happening. There's all this blood.
Yeah.
With-
yeah. Her mom doesn't know that she's pregnant. She thinks she has a cancer that's killing her.
Right. She thinks she's dying. She's like, Lord, take me. I'm dying.
Which is faithful to the book.
Right. Which I think that's cool. There's a parallel that is set up here too that we see at the end where she goes to like stab.
Margaret goes to stab.
Right.
Carrie.
Yep. She's going to stab the baby with scissors, but stops herself. And she's like, no, I can't do this. She ends up raising the baby. At the very end of the movie, she almost stabs Carrie, but Carrie stops her with her power. So you get like this scene of her stabbing at Carrie and stopping, which I like that.
Yeah,
part.
I like that too.
That's neat.
That adds to the scariness because, like, who would kill a baby? In this rendition, so, like, Chris gets in trouble and she's like, my dad's a lawyer and he's going to get me out of this. So I really liked that scene that they added it. It just adds, like, more layers to the story.
It's a little bit of that entitled thing. And
it doesn't work for her.
No, it doesn't work for her, right?
What were you going to say?
Well, the dad shows up and is played by Ellis from Die Hard.
Yeah.
Best Christmas movie, Die Hard.
The famous Christmas movie.
The famed Christmas movie.
Die
so
Hard.
I think that's fun.
Yes. And
he's just as smarmy in this as he is in that.
Yeah. But in the end, he yeah.
Yep.
Well, because like
he's trying to get her. It's like, just give her your phone.
Yeah, because Judy Gear's like, well, we're really looking for whoever posted that video, and if it's on your phone, it's you, and if it's not, I'll eat my foot or whatever she says.
That's basically what she says. Yeah. She says, I'll eat PJ Souls' hat from the last movie.
That thing's old and nasty.
Old and red.
And Chris doesn't do it. She's like, no.
No, you can't make me give your phone. What is this, Russia? And she rushes out of the room.
Because she knows that she's guilty.
Knows. Which, that's the most guilty thing, is just to be like, no, I'm not going to run.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Some stuff happens. It's the prom scene. Do you have more to talk about?
I just have a couple of things that are different that I like.
Yeah.
First of all, the teachers in both of these movies fucking suck.
Yeah. They do.
So we have this other literature scene. This time, Carrie is reading a poem.
I do like this a little better.
And this is faithful to the book. And the teacher gives an offhanded comment like, okay, Carrie, that was crazy. Or, like, that was weird and
like,
disturbing.
That's the most I've heard you talk in this whole class.
Yeah. And Tommy's like, what an asshole.
Right under his breath, yeah.
And everyone turns around and looks and
a record scratches.
Yeah. And he's like, Tommy, what'd you see? He said, awesome. I thought her poem was awesome.
Didn't you, teacher?
Yeah, like be a teacher and stop being an asshole. Yeah.
I like that a lot. I like that a lot of the reason in the original that because Carrie kept asking, why are you to Tommy? Why are you asking me out? Why are you interested in me?
And he uses like,
saying,
I liked your poem. You liked my poem.
Right. In the original, it's just like, because you liked my poem, which is a weird reason to like somebody. But in this, it kind of frames it, the opposite way.
Yeah.
I liked your poem. I thought it was interesting.
Another difference is we have the scene with Sue and Chris where, Sue's like, I'm having Tommy take Carrie to prom. And Chris calls her out and is like, you're just doing this
to make yourself
to
feel
seem
better.
high and mighty and fucking perfect Sue.
Yep.
And, or, or no, you wouldn't stand up for me in gym class because you wanted to go to prom. And I bet you bought the hotel room and you already practiced the noises you were going to make and all that stuff. That's what it was. And Sue, and that's what I like is Sue's like, oh, you think I am dying to go to prom? Watch this. And then now has Tommy
kind of justify more justification for her decision to do that, which is neat.
We also have a scene where Sue and Tommy are having relations in a car.
Sex scene.
Yeah, and that's afterwards. She's kind of like, I want you to take Carrie to prom, and he's like, I don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
Then he does.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to take.
Like that's literally what it sounds like.
I don't want to take her to prom.
Yeah. So yeah, she ends up throwing up, and if a girl ever throws up in a movie, that can only mean one thing:
she's pregnant.
Yeah, that's right. So that's fun. We have that thread going on throughout the movie. Anything else before the prom?
Nope.
Okay. We're at the prom. So things it's very largely similar. We have Chris and Billy, who is played by the Situation from Jersey Shore.
That's exactly who he looks like every time I see him, but it's not.
Right. It's not.
I don't know
him.
who it is, but it looks exactly like Mike Sorrentino.
We're just gonna say it's him. So, but those two are. I mean, he's less of a fun character and more just like a Stephen King kind of evil monster.
Just like psycho.
Yeah, just psycho. They do the same thing. They kill a pig. Chris slits the pig's throat in this, which is creepy.
Yeah.
And they do the pig's blood thing, and it basically goes off the same way where they win. Again, a lot of lines lifted basically line for line from the original movie, which from the book too.
Right. In this version, she saves Miss Desjardins.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Right.
For
It's
some
too
reason
nice.
in my mind, and maybe it's in the book, I don't really remember, but I thought when we saw this movie, the 2013 one, I thought for sure Carrie just like whipped her hand and like threw Judy Greer against the wall and that killed her. But like it didn't happen. But like
maybe there's a theatrical
I don't know if I'm just remembering the mountain like slapping the doctor and killing him
in Game of Thrones. That was a few years later.
That was crazy.
It was. Spoilers.
I remember and like in awe because it just kills him.
Yeah, that was wild.
I almost think that's what it is.
You're conflating memories. That happens. Carrie is kind of like the mountain. I've always said that.
But then like Carrie, and she does electrocute more people, which is scary.
Right. We do meet this one girl, Tina, who I only call this out because both these movies are very like white casting. A lot of the characters are white. We do meet like this one person of color. It's Tina, and she gets this. Judy Greer, it's like a Jurassic World style, like the babysitter who gets like just aggressively, brutally murdered. It happens to this girl, Tina, too, as well, which I was very thrown off by because she gets whipped with these electrical wires into a fire and lights on fire and is burning to death.
You know what? She deserved it because a big difference between this is after Carrie gets the pig's blood dumped on her, Tina starts playing the video that Chris took on the projector screens of the prom.
Okay, sure.
So Tina deserves it, if you ask me.
Yeah. There's also two twins in this movie.
Yeah, these twins.
These are not characters from the original, but
no,
there's two twins.
They don't do anything, but they're assholes.
I've decided I hate twins.
You better watch it. Those girls from The Shining are gonna come.
Those are some bad twins. You ever see the movie Us? Those are some bad twins too.
Those aren't really twins.
I'm not talking about the tethered. I'm talking about the twins, Tim Heidecker's daughters.
I don't know what you're talking about.
There's two twins.
Anyway, we're going to move on.
There's twins in the movie and they're bad.
Okay.
And these twins die, and good, because they're twins. So she kills a lot of people. She does save, Sue gets pushed out by...
Well, in this one, the house is collapsing in on itself, and Sue runs in.
Well,
she's
this is later. I'm talking about in the prom.
Oh,
she's
yeah.
And Miss Collins, Desjardins, gets saved. Right, get saved. And there's more of a meal made of Chris and Billy's death.
Oh, yes.
Which I like a little more.
I love this.
Even though it does this movie's full of CGI in a way that kind of rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, that doesn't look the best.
Right. But the scene where they get taken out is
they're running,
brutal.
They're going, and Chris is like screaming like run her down, and he's like, I got this, I'm gonna hit her.
I'm gonna do it.
And Carrie stops the car
abruptly,
and the situation does not have his seatbelt on, and oh my, you watched it and you were like,
yeah, this is awful.
Because you like see him like slam his face against the steering wheel, and you can tell it instantly kills him.
Yeah. There's blood. I also hate head trauma stuff.
Yeah. But then Chris goes to try to kill her, and Carrie slams her into a gas station, causing like Chris's like face to get pushed through the windshield, which I think is pretty scary too. But then she ends up dying and exploding.
There's an explosion, which is cool.
Yeah.
Again, in the book, she destroys the whole town. This doesn't really happen. Just kind of this gas station.
It does happen in the car because he does go to run her down.
Yeah,
so then she goes home, takes a bath.
Yep.
Mom tries to kill her. She kills Mom.
Yada. Same old story.
Same thing.
Yep. And again, in the book, her heart is stopped by Carrie. And in the original movie, she is stabbed by Carrie.
And now
so
in this one.
in this movie, why is she stabbed by Carrie if they're trying to do the book instead of the original movie?
I don't know.
Questions.
I don't
Carrie
know.
questions with Mr. Red. Tune in every Sunday night.
I don't know.
But yeah, so yep, kills mom. And then for some reason, Sue Snell is here in Carrie's house.
Yeah, because she knew that she was doing all this stuff.
Okay. She shows up and she's like, Carrie, stop, I guess.
Right. And then the house now jumped ahead.
It's fine.
Starts to implode on itself. And Sue's like, give me your hand.
Grab my hand.
Grab my hand. And Carrie's like, pushing her away almost, like, get out of here. And then she's like, whoa, I feel something. I feel a new force.
I sense something. A presence.
There's
I had
a
not
new
felt
force field. She's like, it's a girl. And then Sue's like, what? And Carrie's just like, you didn't know?
Didn't know?
It's so weird.
Right. Like, why does Carrie, who's going through this horrifically traumatic event, care about Sue or her unborn baby, or the fact that she didn't know about her
maybe
unborn
because
baby?
she knows it's Tommy's and Tommy's now dead.
Maybe
it's that type of thing.
I guess
this
so.
is where I really wish this movie would have let her go through the streets and Sue's like holding her in her arms, and that it would just be better if he was like, if at that moment she was like, you're having a girl,
right?
Like, and not just be, you didn't know,
right? Just like randomly throwing that out there.
Yeah.
So she ends up flinging Sue across the street, but gently, out of the wreckage, and then again she dies.
Yep.
There's no sting. There's not quite the same sting.
No,
They do show her grave, but
and it like
just
cracks,
and you're like, okay, great, whatever, I guess.
Yeah. At least they put like Sue as part of like the Carrie Chronicle type thing that the whole book is based.
That's the thing that's the thing I want to talk about is the book is like written from firsthand accounts. It's like newspaper clippings, things like that.
That and like The Shadow Exploded is this whole like book that was written about it, or like
right.
I survived Chamberlain's massacre by Sue Snell or whatever it is.
And it's cool. It's almost like a found footage book.
Yeah.
Which I think is neat.
Yeah.
Because I love found footage stuff, and I love in-universe text being the meta text. I just like when it's a part of the experience.
So it is nice to have that little homage at the end, because
Right.
Sue goes on trial and she's like, listen, I know what I saw. It's not stress. It's not all this shit. Carrie had telekinetic powers, and you can believe it or not.
Call it what you will. Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Yeah.
Sue's Believe It or Not.
My God.
I don't know. Sorry.
Okay.
That's it.
Those are the two movies.
All right. So The Rage Carrie 2 came out. Okay. I would like to talk about some of the recurring King themes that we have seen in these two movies.
Okay.
So first of all, you have evil students that are like more than just your typical bullies. You have the typically young
like
people.
almost the young Michael Myers. if
Yeah,
you will.
kind of.
Like just very
Just like I'm
wrong.
right. Just evil incarnate.
Yeah.
You have this with Sue. You obviously have this with Billy, who's just this.
Chris.
Yeah, sorry, Chris. Yeah, this with Chris.
Who's the good one?
Right. Well, you don't know. She's doing it for selfish reasons. So that's a recurring thing with King, is you just have characters that are just unreasonably just fixated on, I suddenly hate the main character
And
I'm
need
just
to
gonna-
murder them.
Right, gonna go all in. You have abusive adults, more so than whatever the evil in the story is. You have parents or just adults in general just abusing kids, maybe not in a very direct way, but certainly indirect anyway. You have this with Margaret, White, and Carrie. Obviously, you have the faculty of the school, other than Miss Collins, Miss Desjardins, who just don't seem to care.
But she abuses them.
Yeah, and Miss Collins slaps a kid or two, specifically too. You have kind of these forces that are kind of controlling people, causing things to happen that might not be explained otherwise. You mentioned Miss Desjardins didn't know why she was laughing.
Yeah.
She almost felt like this is a recurring theme. We see this with we see this with Pet Sematary.
Yeah.
Where like something is kind of manipulating things behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah.
I think this is so creepy and cool.
Right.
And you weirdly, I only just started picking up on this. Stephen King hates towns. He loves to destroy a town. in not so much in the movie, but in the book of Carrie, he destroys a town. In it, again, especially the book, he destroys a
tainted
town.
town. Yeah.
It needs to go. In Under the Dome, he loves to destroy a town.
Yeah.
That town gets destroyed. So
speaking of towns, so we're gonna do like a whole map of like Stephen King stories.
Yeah.
This season. So let's throw the map of Maine because
right.
most of the stories take place in Maine. There are 2 of them that will take place in Colorado. We'll get to those later in the season. This one in the book takes place in Chamberlain, Maine.
That's right.
Which is on the coast below Bar Harbor.
Okay. We've been there.
We've been there.
Not just
So there's our
Chamberlain.
first dot on the map
That's right.
of Stephen King.
Pin Carrie in.
Yep.
Cool.
So there's that. So we'll keep that up this season as well.
That'll be fun.
So let's get into what makes it scary.
Let's do it. So being a teenager is hard. And
scary.
and scary. There's a lot of things that go into like the social aspect of just being around all these other people that are also little shits and just being awful and bullies and everything. And you just have to navigate life and figure out who you are as a person. It's hard going through all these, like your body's going through all these changes, especially like with, what's happening with Carrie and everything. It's scary. It's like scary to have to go through all this, especially if you weren't prepped on any of this.
Yeah.
I believe the original movie mentions it, or maybe it's the second one as well, or the remake, the 2013, where they specifically call out how Margaret wanted Carrie's education to go differently. That's why she didn't have like a sex ed class. Maybe that's a new one because
she was homeschooled and then they were no longer allowing her to be homeschooled.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's
How
why it's
she
not,
missed that.
Right. Not just that Margaret was keeping it from her. It was also because she was keeping
She
the
was
whole...
manipulating her education.
Right. So
in the Christian way.
Yeah, you have that. You obviously have all the abuse stuff that's going on. You have the idea of this kind of like, it's almost like an origin story, not that it goes anywhere else, but you have this setup of just something bad is happening and it's like building up throughout the story.
Yeah.
Which is always just unsettling to watch. And then you have the scene at the end, so talking about some like real things temporarily, which we don't
that
love
people
to do.
Fear.
Right. But like there have been events in schools where things
where lots of students and faculty have died.
Right. And it's very tragic, it's very horrible. We don't want to linger on it because it sucks. It completely sucks. But it's scary. It's scary to think about. It's scary to think about like, putting your kids into this public system and then something like
that
this
and
happens.
this is supposed to be like one of the best nights of their life.
Right. Yep.
They
We've talked about things that are supposed to be happy and fun and exciting being corrupted and turned into something evil that's creepier than just something evil happening.
Right.
So you have the prom, which is, this celebration of life, and then people die and it's awful. Right. So you basically have all of this stuff working together. It's, we'll get more into some more like nuanced and more fun kind of complex things
of what makes it scary.
I've
got a couple of different things.
Yeah, why don't you
So like the symbolism of blood in this movie is something that can make it scary. Blood being like such a taboo thing.
Right.
As of the like 20th century or so, because like way back when the Romans used to think that menstruating women were great and wanted, would help, it symbolized fertility for your crops and all this other stuff. And just like over the years has just been like condemned for fucking something we can't control.
Right.
And you're welcome I do it because
okay.
Where would you all be without it?
That's true, I guess.
It is.
What are you talking about?
Menstruation is what I'm talking about. So like that's all that, the blood of that and the blood at the end, the pig's blood, all this blood.
Yeah, blood is a theme in this movie. And you're right, in a society that is typically very male dominant, male driven, like blood is this scary evil thing.
Yeah,
because
evil thing that will turn even the people you love into crazy people.
Right. Even in a like just a man's life, you don't see blood unless something's wrong. And so in a society that's like very much driven by men, that kind of carries through where like blood is this something bad is happening, even though it's very normal.
It's not, yeah.
Right. And yeah, you're right.
Yeah, there's also like high school bullying.
Yep.
That's something that unfortunately, like a lot of people have to go through. Were you ever like severely bullied?
Not severely. I had people that like picked on me, made fun of me, but I didn't have like a single bully that was like, I am the target of this person.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like the popular kids, and occasionally jokes would be thrown that I wasn't cool with. But did you? Were you?
No, but
We got lucky.
that's not to say that I didn't feel like
Ostracized.
stings of a bully.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like every day targeting me, but
Right.
but still that. And then like that whole mob mentality of like plug it up, like just
Yeah.
like joining in, even though you know this is an evil thing to do.
Right. And it's
But,
bad.
like-
And even characters that are, good, like
Good.
Sue, who does come to regret her decision, joins in. She's like doing
Right.
it along with
And
them.
then yeah.
In the new movie and in the book, Tommy talks about an event that he had where he also joined in making fun of somebody who.
No, he like kicked somebody while they were unconscious.
Right. Yeah.
It was like somebody who bullied him, and then like
Oh, yeah.
they got in a fight, and he got knocked unconscious, and then he continued to like beat him up. And,
Right.
Like, that's what.
Yeah. So these are like good characters that do bad things and
Right.
kind of that moral gray area.
And and I'm not going to touch on it too much because I think we could spend a whole episode on it. The
Sure.
ultra devout Christians
Yeah.
and why they are so scary.
Right. Just the vehement belief that you're right and that the other people
Everyone else will go to hell.
is wrong, right, and will go to hell. Which again, the new movie kind of plays on this a little bit, where they kind of like not justify, but they talk about a little bit why they don't like Carrie as much. They say like
Her and her mother, say everybody's going to hell except them.
right. It's one thing if she was just weird, but like to behave that way in school, that's going to make kids angry. So
Oh yeah,
it makes
yeah.
sense. Yeah,
So those are all the things that I think make Carrie scary.
Scary Carrie.
Scary Carrie, and Carrie's not even the one that's scary.
Well, she is.
Not to me.
Towards
yeah.
the end.
No, I'm like, yeah, get it, girl. Kill all those people.
Girl power,
Girl power.
That's right. Yeah. So this was a lot of fun. This was a fascinating deep dive into a old movie that hopefully you check out. And if you haven't already, I mean, we kind of spoiled it.
If
but-
you like audiobooks, I highly recommend this one, read by Sissy Spacek, even though because she is Southern, kind of has a Southern drawl with it, which distracts me, but it is still very, very good.
Yeah.
Highly recommend.
For sure.
All right. That has been this week's first, season 4 episode of What Makes It Scary.
It's good to be back. I miss doing this show.
I know.
It's fun.
We have a fantastic season coming up for you guys. Next week, we will be talking about Pet Cemetery.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Get ready for 1,000 of
Oh
those.
my gosh. Keep the count going.
That's
okay.
right.
So if you want to follow us, you can follow the show at Makes It Scary on Twitter. If you want to follow me personally and see all those really cool pictures of me cosplaying as Carrie and standing in front of Christine and seeing Carrie's grave, you can visit me at CleverGirl, the letter F and the letter X.
If you want to see some funny tweets occasionally, follow me at Mr. spelled out the long way, Red Plays, at Mr. Red Plays on Twitter.
All right. Well,
Cool.
let's plug this thing up.